Welcome to The Other Opinion. This is where we really lean into those sometimes challenging, less talked about perspectives.
That's right.
And today, oh boy, we are diving headfirst into something that's, well, it's practically sparked a social media civil war. We're talking about the huge debate between fans of Zack Snyder's Superman and James Gunn's upcoming take on the character. It's amazing how these different views can just ignite so much passion.
It really is. And for this deep dive, we've pulled a lot from that big IGN YouTube video, Snyder versus Gunn, Who Did Superman Best? Great source.
Yeah, super comprehensive.
And we've also dug into tons of fan comments, social media posts, stuff from Snyder Superman versus Gunn Superman, a fandom divide, Snyderverse fandom, a social media snapshot, and the Snyderverse and DC fandom revival. Lots of material there.
Definitely. So our mission today is really to unpack all the arguments, for and against each director's Superman. We want to get into the details, figure out why people feel so strongly.
Exactly. And importantly, we're just presenting the perspectives. We're staying impartial, not picking sides here.
Absolutely. So as we go through this, please do hit that like button for us. Drop your own other opinions down in the comments. We genuinely want to hear them.
Yeah, definitely.
And subscribe to The Other Opinion. Share this with your friends, especially those who, love a good debate.
All right, let's get into it.
Okay, let's start with making the case for Snyder's Superman. Looking back, it took some real guts for Warner Bros. To pick Zack Snyder.
You really did.
They knew his style, that very distinct, extravagant slow-mo, the heavy CG, like from Dawn of the Dead 300, Watchmen. He wasn't exactly a conventional choice. He had a unique point of view for sure.
And that's actually fascinating, right? Because with a character like Superman, almost a century old, well, he kind of needs a strong authorial voice to stop him feeling generic. And Snyder, the sources say he absolutely left it all on the screen, just poured his vision into it. That showed the studio had, a lot of faith in him for the whole DCEU thing.
And his whole approach was about taking Superman seriously.
Yeah.
Really seriously, treating his arrival as this huge mythic event. Remember, back in 2013, Superman felt a bit stuck.
Yeah, he needed a refresh.
He needed that big blockbuster moment, and Snyder just went, okay, let's go as big as possible. Superheroes as these mythic gods steering our mortal futures from the skies.
Which, makes you think, how would civilization react to someone like that showing up? Snyder really leaned into the religious parallels, didn't he?
Totally.
Treating Superman less like a guy in a cape and more like this massive event that humanity has to reckon with. His arrival was framed as a world-changing thing. Snyder gave him that gravitas, designed him to fill an IMAX screen, literally.
And, a lot of fans felt that. Adzorier4338 said Snyder had a Superman that was a real person that felt anger, frustration, happiness.
Right, connected on that level for some.
And then there's Henry Cavill's performance.
Yeah.
That presence, his kind of reserved, stoic take, really sold that feeling of otherness, the isolation, the burden of being a god. He was just a hype moments machine, even without tons of dialogue. One fan, Ed Dresboy, just nailed it. Cavill Superman. Everything about it looks accurate. Simple as that.
And visually, Cavill's aura, people said it was unmatched, just oozes power.
Yeah.
Remember the heat vision, that crackling chaos, and how he flew like an F-22 Raptor, powerful enough to just, obliterate an IHOP.
Yeah, the IHOP scene.
Snyder's whole production, the design, the fights, the VFX, it really did raise the bar for blockbuster action. For loads of fans, it was like that live-action Dragon Ball dream come true. Right,
that mix of serious, almost post-9/11 imagery with that crazy, over-the-top shonen jump action.
Exactly, and you see that in the comments. That Civic9076 said Snyder made a truly Superman. Others called Man of Steel a sci-fi opera, an unbelievable experience. Just a cooler Superman, basically.
Yeah, and at Smoke Chip pointed out, shot to shot, Man of Steel just looks miles better than Gunn's soups. That visual aspect really stuck with people.
Definitely a strong visual identity.
Okay, so let's pivot. Let's talk about the other side, James Gunn's vision. The case, maybe, for a Superman, emphasis on the man.
Right.
So the DCU was kind of sputtering out, right? Its last breaths, as the source put it. And James Gunn gets brought in to pick up the pieces and lead this whole new DCU.
And he had the cred. Peacemaker, the Suicide Squad, plus Guardians 3 was huge. He seemed like a solid choice to, build something new.
Yeah, he did.
And what's interesting about Gunn is his films, which he usually writes to, they're known for, charming characters, clever dialogue. There's a heart and hopefulness there that, some people felt Snyder's stuff maybe lacked a bit.
A different vibe entirely.
Totally. Gunn's promising this kinder, more colorful world. His Clark Kent actually has coworkers, friends, a dog, apparently actual chemistry with Lois Lane.
That's a key point for many.
The whole tone is aiming for Superman as this universal symbol, truth, justice, a better tomorrow for everyone. Trying to show as many people as possible why he's special. Like at Middle Nerd said, it seems Gunn wants to take the classic Superman from the comics and animated series and bring it to live action.
And David Corin's what's Superman. The characterization seems deliberately different. Compared to Cavill's more isolated version, this one's got living parents who are supportive, the cute dog, a best friend, Lois, people he's actually comfortable with.
Right, allies he can connect with. Makes him feel, as that Victor Lyotta put it, more human and approachable.
It does.
And the big influence, apparently, is Grant Morrison's All-Star Superman. That comic's known for being optimistic, bright, colorful.
Ah, okay.
So this is a Superman who's chilling on a cloud, relaxed, basking in the yellow sun, just pure upbeat and inspiring. The idea is his never-ending battle isn't this heavy burden, it's his purpose, something that brings him joy.
That's a fundamental shift, isn't it? Can a hero be relatable and powerful, joyful and majestic?
That's the question Gunn seems to be exploring. And for some fans, it hits home. Like at Yamawateng's ZQ One Chore felt it brought back old memories of childhood comics and movies in the 80s and 90s, that nostalgic, classic feel.
Thinking about Snyder again, maybe that focus on realistic did kind of stop him from embracing the wilder comic book stuff, the comic book craziness.
That could be the argument, yeah. And that's where Gunn's track record, especially with the Suicide Squad, comes in. He's shown he can handle absolute wackiness.
Polka dot man, Taserface.
Exactly. He makes it work. So this new Superman apparently has high-tech hypno glasses, a superpowered dog, robots, and little capes.
Okay, robots and capes. I'm intrigued.
It sounds like Gunn's approach is just leaves every option on the table, a huge toy box of possibilities for the DCU.
Makes sense.
And fans pick up on that. At Million Exploding Hat said Gunn's is like the comic books, lighter and more fun. At Caldiandrade69 just called it an actual Superman movie.
It's high praise from some corners. And at Drezzy EFTP even compared him to Christopher Reeve. This is the best Superman ever. That's a big comparison.
Huge. So clearly both visions have their passionate supporters.
Right. Which inevitably brings us to the points of contention. Because, let's be real, not everyone loved everything about either approach. Let's start with the case against Snyder. Those unforced errors, as some call them. The big one, maybe, was Superman killing Zod in Man of Steel. A lot of people felt that was just purely subtractive. It turned off a big chunk of the audience right away.
And what's interesting is how little it actually seemed to matter later, right? Like in Batman v Superman, the world was more worked up about that North African excursion and the fact he snapped Zod's neck.
Yeah, the narrative didn't really follow through on the consequences of that specific act. It raises questions about, the impact of those big character choices.
Definitely. And beyond Zod, people point to other things. Jonathan Kent's death felt kind of boneheaded to some.
Nah.
Blowing Jimmy Olsen's brains out almost immediately, Lex Luthor being so obnoxious. The whole Kill Martha scene.
Oh, Martha, don't get me started.
Right, and even weird stuff like characters sniffing pee. Critics felt these things just made Snyder's Superman feel somehow weird, or that Snyder just didn't get the character. At Malakon Scream just flat out said Snyder didn't understand Superman.
And then there's the whole misery business critique. Snyder's Superman often felt like he was in this near constant state of mourning. His career starts with death, disaster, that huge Zod fight.
Yeah, and at James Duffy 7549 pointed out that having Superman actually say, no one stays good in this world, that felt fundamentally wrong for the character to many.
It jars, doesn't it?
It does. And while Snyder himself said he wasn't using the 9/11 imagery lightly for the Metropolis destruction, starting your fun superhero universe with something that felt like 100 9/11s, it was just a really somber opening note. And, audiences generally don't like getting bummed out at the movies. Look at the DCEU's bigger hits. Wonder Woman, Aquaman, even the Suicide Squad, they were mostly more upbeat.
That's true. Stephen Ewan had a pretty harsh take, calling him a desaturated emo space. Jesus, barely human, hates everyone but his girlfriend. Ouch.
Yeah, pretty pointed criticism there.
Okay, so that's the case against Snyder. But Gunn's vision isn't immune either. What are the main criticisms there? One big one seems to be this idea that maybe superheroes aren't special in his world. or specifically Superman isn't special.
Right, the visual style. While people say it looks great, it's also described as not quite so defined as Snyder's, more like a typical modern superhero film.
In an era where maybe superhero movies have kind of calcified their look,
Right.
less bold stylistic choices overall.
Exactly. And, the effects industry is under crazy pressure. It can feel like we've seen before all these amazing things. So it's harder to see what makes Gunn's Superman really stand out visually from the pack.
Yeah, Ed Derively said, Gunn's Superman looks like a low-budget fan movie compared to Snyder's work.
Yeah.
That's a harsh comparison on the visual front.
It is. And Gunn himself even admitted he was a little out of his element with such a traditional archetypal character. Which leads to that question. If his uniqueness isn't really highlighted, does Superman just become another cape in the crowd?
And some fans clearly felt that. At Redums8463 said, Gunn's Superman is terrible, never been a clown before, and so weak. That's a strong reaction.
Very strong.
And another concern tied to that is skipping the origin story. Starting 3 years in, with an established DCEU already, some worry that also makes him feel less special, just another hero showing up.
Yeah, losing that foundational connection for the audience.
Yeah.
And there's this underlying feeling that, look, Superman as a marketable concept might not be able to handle another L.
Oof.
Fans want him treated with respect, with reverence. Snyder nailed the majesty, maybe, but perhaps at the cost of joy. Dunn's aiming for joy, but will he lose the majesty? It's a tough balance.
And you see that reflected in some comments. At Loner5849 said Gunn made a kindergarten kid wearing SM suit, like lacking that gravitas. And at Loading Screen criticized the look, too colorful, costumes you couldn't take seriously, even calling the plot terrible. So definite pushback there too.
Absolutely. It's clear there are strong opinions on both sides of the against argument too.
So after digging through all of this, the passion, the criticism, what was the final verdict from IGN, who kind of kicked this whole thing off?
Well, interestingly, they called it a tie game.
A tie.
Yeah. And their main point was pretty insightful, I thought, basically. Life's too short to fight over a question that's flawed from the start.
Flawed from the start, meaning?
Meaning, like, no one can get Superman more right than anyone else because there is no right version. He's such a malleable character, right? He changes to meet the moment, flexible enough for different times.
So every take is valid, essentially.
That's the argument.
Yeah.
Snyder and Gunn have just created their own unique versions. Neither is definitively wrong or right.
And it seems like a lot of fans are actually coming around to that idea, calling for a bit more harmony.
Yeah, you see comments like, at Michael T. Ocklemps, "You're not wrong for liking Colville's Superman. You're not wrong for liking Cornswit's Superman either. If you like both, even better."
That's a nice sentiment. And at Ian Hyde 5456 put it well too. The beauty of comics is no style is incorrect. Both are unique and cool and should just be appreciated.
So what does that mean for you listening right now? When you think about these huge, iconic characters, do they really thrive on just one single vision? Or do they actually get stronger, stay relevant, because we get these different interpretations over time?
That's a great question. What really stands out to you about this whole debate? We genuinely want to know.
Please tell us.
Hit that like button if you found this interesting. Definitely drop your other opinions in the comments below. Subscribe to The Other Opinion, and share this with anyone who enjoys digging into these character debates.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe, just maybe, Superman's real power isn't just, flight and heat vision, but his incredible adaptability, his ability to resonate with different people in different ways, to evolve.
That's a nice thought. Okay, so here's something for you to chew on. Beyond Superman, what other classic pop culture characters do you think absolutely need different interpretations to stay relevant and compelling for new generations?
Ooh, good one.
Think about it. Keep diving deep with us. Share your unique perspectives right here on The Other Opinion. Like, comment, subscribe.
Thanks for joining us.
Oh, and just a heads up, this was an AI podcast aimed at providing information. Some of it might be wrong.